I want to ask you both this one in relation to the 50-cent fares the Premier touched on. You're saying you're going to reduce debt, reduce taxes, you're going to keep those fares. How is it sustainable, a 50-cent fare for public transport? I know it's popular, and it's probably unpopular to ask this question, but on a permanent basis, how is that sustainable?
Kieran, we justify it on the basis that it can ensure that people are using an asset that's already there and maximising the most out of it. I've always been someone as opposition leader that I look at ideas, and if it's something to me that makes sense, I don't care where they come from. And this is one of them that we looked at and we thought, yeah, that makes sense. What we want to see, though, is to make sure that the frequency of those services are reliable and that they're safe and they're frequent. And that's an important part of it. But we look at it this way. If we can encourage people onto public transport, that means that you don't have that really convergence of capital all at one time in one location. So it made sense to us, and so we've backed that, and we think it makes sense into the long term.
I think this is something you had thought of when you were going to uni, as on the train on the way in and so on. But same question, or similar. When you look at the running costs per trip, isn't it about $19 from the analysis I saw for every trip? How do you cover that shortfall with 50-cent fares?
You're right, Kieran. This is something I've wanted to do ever since I was catching the train from Petrie. I grew up in the outer suburbs, and it never made any sense to me that we charge the people who have to travel the furthest the most. I think it makes it harder for people to get to work and to education, and they're the people we most want to get off the roads and onto public transport. When you look at the amount we invest in capital for these things, what we were recouping in fare revenue was a fraction. So the 6 month trial cost $150 million compared to the tens of billions of dollars that we've spent building the train lines and the trains and everything else. And so I think it makes a lot of sense to me to get people using that infrastructure, get them off the roads and save them a lot of money in the process.